Episode 13, Beautiful Silence. In this episode, we're going to cover my Lenten Sacrifice, what it taught me, and maybe why this is worth pursuing in your own personal life. So to begin with my own Lenten Sacrifice, and to some it may seem silly, to others it may seem like a cakewalk, or maybe you're even somewhere in the middle, I decided to give up music for the duration of Lent, my Lenten Sacrifice. And the reason I do this is because of how heavily reliant I am upon music in my day-to-day life. To and from work each morning, that's if I'm going to the office, because I'm fortunate enough where I can work from home if need be, or if I choose. And it's about 35 minutes each way, which that already totals up to an hour and 10, and that is just to and from work. And as a commercial real estate broker, for anyone else who understands the industry or is in a similar industry where the amount of driving, can be pretty substantial, you understand that tallies and then the time kind of just, compounds, and you realize, you listen to a lot of music or podcasts, whatever your thing is, you're pretty heavily reliant upon that. And that's just to and from work. That's not including where if I am doing some sort of busy work on the computer, usually have an AirPod in. If I'm in the showers, like anybody else, anywhere I'm going in the car, or if I'm at the gym, hour and a half. If I'm running, again, it could be anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour and a half plus. All very heavily reliant upon music. So I kind of just wanted to cover what this taught me. This will probably be a shorter episode, but I think this is something that you don't have to give up music entirely. I'm not saying that it is a bad thing for you, but what I learned in the process of being just you and your thoughts throughout the duration of the day, there's no real, there's no distraction. There's no just kind of, escape from reality based on the music you're playing. You are essentially living in a tunnel vision like state, all day. I mean, there's no, you kind of just want to let your mind drift while you're driving, or if it's in the morning, and sometimes, your eyes are a little heavy in the morning, like myself sometimes. All you can do is just focus on the day, focus on what's ahead of you, focus on what's on the front of your mind, or even subconscious. You don't escape, you can't escape that, essentially. And that's, there's pros and cons to that, which is kind of what I wanted to elaborate on with this episode. So I don't know how much you rely on music in your life. For some people, they just don't at all. It's people at the gym all the time, people running, no music, no nothing. And to me, at first, I was completely foreign, obviously, and seemed almost impossible because you're just forced to be in your given situation. But what I've learned, especially with running more so than the gym, with running, it's almost like blissful in a way, depending on where you run, that is. If you're running the same exact route every single day, it's going to take a lot more than just giving up music to, be at peace or to actually enjoy what it is that you're doing. But, trying to find new routes every day, and what you'll realize is, you'll hear every step is emphasized. You hear every single footstep. You hear your own heart thumping. Every thought in your mind at first is just, kind of boldened, and it makes the run feel kind of long and dragged on. But you get to a point eventually where, depending on where you're at, like for myself, if you're in Middlesex or familiar with the duck pond, that's a place I like to go, and I'll run some routes there. You're almost like one with nature. It's not the craziest, most beautiful sight in the world. It's just a small little pond in our town. You could run it as like a loop that goes all the way around, and you can kind of just follow that time and time again, and it comes out to actually a mile on the dot, which is kind of cool. It's that you start to pay attention to things you never even would have paid attention to in the first place. You pay more mind to the animals and the scenery, and you actually start to engage with people more in a way, because it's one thing when you have headphones on, you're kind of just locked in and want to do your own thing. But when you look at it from another person's point of view, maybe someone's just walking by, enjoying their day, they want to say hello, but they see the headphones on your head, and people just aren't going to bat an eye because that you're not going to hear them. Obviously, they wave or give you like a nod, like if you're watching this on YouTube, you saw what I did there. It's like the most common gesture for simple people like myself. But you're forced to engage with people more, whether it's at the gym or on a run or just out and about. And again, you could look at that two different ways. It makes you less focused because you're constantly attentive, to others that are trying to get your attention, or, it's easier to kind of drift into the wrong state of mind. But I think it's just so important to do that. Because even, when it comes to outside of things like not even fitness related or work related. You go to the city, for example, New York City. It's only about a 45-hour plus drive, really, depending on the traffic from where I'm at. If you go there, it's like you can say it's like a different world. I like to say that all the time. And just about every single person you see walking has headphones in, like everyone. And and I get it. You know, you want to do your thing, be on your way, and not be bothered by people. I get that. But what I've noticed and what I've learned is there's so much to learn, so much to take in, so many opportunities that can present themselves to you, and so much that just goes on around you in this life, and you know, you just constantly want to be drifted away by music and tune everything out. You just miss so much. You know, I'm one who I would, you know, I'll walk around. I won't have headphones in. I just love the idea of just being present, you know, with people and just saying hello to everyone and everything. And if you don't, you're not a bad person. I'm not trying to say you're a bad person if you don't like that, but it's like there's just a whole world going on around you. But when you're just constantly drowning out noise and drowning out everything around you, you know, you start to just give the important things in your life a back seat, and just not be present, you know. And there's a gazillion different ways that you can you know, give the important present things in your life a backseat. I'm not saying music's the only thing you can give up and that's the only way to go about it. But what I'm getting at is what music does. Yeah, there's great times for it. Trust me, I get it. You know, after you get some good news or something, you're driving back and it's been a good day. You want to blast some country music or something. But when you need it, when you're like reliant upon it, essentially is what I'm getting at. When you're reliant upon it to get through your day, you know, it just kind of goes to show you really can appreciate your own company, and it could be, you know, it's like a healthier form of a drug, you know. And I'm not trying to say it's a bad thing either, because, you know, following Lent, I'll tell you, on day one when Lent is over, I will be blasting country music on my way to work or wherever I'm going. At least for that part is I may continue to do my runs without music, because you're just one with nature in a way. It's really weird, but you're forced to take in things around you because you have nothing else. Especially when you're running, doing long distance, you have to. It's such a mental game, as anyone knows who runs a substantial amount. It is all mental, about 90% mental in comparison to where you are physically, obviously. But you have to take in the things around you, or you lose your mind. Just hearing, you know, the footsteps and your own heart thumping. If that's all you're going to listen to for, you know, an hour and a half, you know, you may go a little cuckoo. But when you take in the actual scenery, the things around you, start to appreciate them. You know, like you actually start to appreciate the things around you and not just, you know, kind of skip past it. It may seem far-fetched. I understand all this, everything I'm getting at thus far, just because, you know, it's like it's music. It's not like it's the end of the world. And I'm not trying to say it's like drugs or alcohol, but it's something that takes your mind off of what's really going on around you. And sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad. I'm also going to say sometimes you learn, it's like after a really long day and you're driving home, you just want to tune out the world. You know, you want to drown out the noise and reset, and that is great. I'm all for that. But if that's constantly your escape, you know, 23 out of the 24 hours in a day, I mean, that's something that needs addressing. You know, you could almost rely that upon people that, you know, need the nicotine, they need the marijuana and all these things constantly because their life is that boring to them, or they just genuinely cannot appreciate their own company in any way, and they need something else to get them through the day. And yes, music, yeah, it is definitely a healthier alternative than the things I mentioned before. But I think it's something that it should be cherished. For example, I'm not saying you have to give it up for the duration of Lent, you know, next year, or that you have to give it up for X amount of days. But what I'm saying is, you know, it's something that I believe should be seen as almost like a reward at times, or sometimes if it's you know, maybe needed just for a longer car ride or something. But just don't be so reliant upon it is what I'm getting at. And you'll learn there's so much more discipline in that, for sure. I mean, there's, you know, times where it's at the gym where you literally, without music, in my experience, you have to be dialed. Like, you have to walk in there, tunnel vision, dialed. I don't want to talk to anyone really type of thing. Because if you do, once you lose a momentum, when it's without any music or without anyone in your ear, trying to give you a little encouragement or anything, it is brutal. It is brutal because they'll have this little gym music in the background, stuff you don't typically listen to, just stuff you see in like anywhere you go in corporate America where they have like little backdrop type music. And that's even brutal. It's brutal to listen to. But it takes such discipline, man. Such discipline. And not to kind of go off of, not to kind of go backwards here. Sorry, I'm just seeing something on my camera that I don't know why that's doing that or why it's that high. But anyways, not to kind of steer off track here. If you're someone like myself, who, yes, I have my one black coffee, as you just saw before. I have my one black coffee usually in the morning or early afternoon. With no caffeine, either going to the gym, there's no caffeine, no music. It is strictly discipline. And I'm not saying this to give myself praise, because I've had definitely had more bad lifts than good throughout this time of Lent, because it's just, once you lose it, because I've been going to the same gym for a very long time, so I know just about every single face in there, so I talk a lot, which is my problem. No one else, it's my problem. But it's just tough, because once you lose that momentum, it's tough to get back, man. It's tough. It's tough to, in car rides, want to just, had to keep your eyes open and just literally just drive home on a longer drive, just dead silence, just reflecting on your day. Or like myself too, just actually, this could be considered a pro, versus a con, is I make calls. Like, I reach out to people I haven't talked to in a long time, throw my AirPod in and just talk, and it makes the ride go quicker, and it's good. It forces you to want to reach out to people you haven't spoken to in a while. And I think, that may seem, kind of corny, that like, okay, I need to give up music just so I could reach out to my old friends. And obviously you don't have to do that, but it forces you to be present. It forces you to almost value things in a weird way. And I know it seems so silly because this is all revolving around music, but I just kind of wanted to give you guys what I learned through this process and what I've done, like what it's done for me. And as a result, I've reached out to a couple of people I haven't talked to in a very long time. I still hold them, very near and dear to my heart. Just haven't talked to them in a long time. You go different paths, different whatever, and obviously the phone goes both ways, so I take blame as well. But it's weird. It's weird how giving up something like that, as a sacrifice to the Lord for the duration of Lent, actually could turn into a lot of benefits. You're not reliant upon it anymore. It's not the thing that gets you through your day, and you realize like what your day actually consists of when there's no music involved. When you rely upon it heavily, is what I'm getting at. And maybe the music in this, we'll call this an analogy here. Maybe the music in this analogy stands for something else in your life, whether it is nicotine, which I never got into, and whatever. I'm not judging anyone, but whether it's that, or whether it's smoking weed, or drinking, whatever it is that gets you through your day, you consider if you could go without that, even if you're not a faith rooted individual, maybe you can make that, more of a moral thing. See, what is my day actually like? What does my day look like from a third person point of view? Not when I'm in it and I have the music blaring in my ears. I'm trying to escape reality every second of the day, just trying to get what I got to get done so I can be done with it and get on to the next, live for the weekend type thing. Like, think about it. And it forced you to make change, because there's things in my life that, you root out the distraction. It's like, wow, maybe I should change this because this is pretty brutal, or like why am I even doing that type thing, And music can get someone through a lot. It can, whether it's hardship you're going through, or it's just general things like work or fitness. Oh my goodness, excuse me. But when you root out the distractions and you have that sort of tunnel vision, it brings to the light the things that need change, essentially. Brings to the light the things that need change, and I believe the only way to do that is, I don't know. If I'm being honest, for me, it was being Lent. I never even considered it prior to Lent. It was actually my buddy Danny Miller. Shout out to him. I know he listens to these as well. So this was his idea to give up music for myself. I asked him, and he's like, "Have you ever considered music?" And I was like, "Wow, that's a good idea, but I'm mad at you for suggesting it because I know now I have to do it, and it's gonna stink." But it was worth it. It was definitely worth it. I'll tell you right now, it's Saturday. Come Monday, I'll be having either Zach Bryan or Josh Malloy. Put you guys on. It's a newer artist, I think, or isn't that much? I don't know how I even found him. Yeah, that will be on full blast in my car, no doubt. But it's just like, it's cool because I'm gonna view that as like a celebration now, almost like just being able to listen to music like that again and just allow it to take me away in a weird way, just take me away to a happy place and that's what makes you value music is it's not like you realize you listen to the same stuff all the time, becomes saturated, it just comes dried out, you don't even want to listen to it anymore, and you're always looking for the new thing, the new whatever. But now it's like after the entirety of Lent, it's like all I'm looking forward to is listen to the classics, the things that used to get me up and at it, and allow my mind to drift a little bit. But all in all, I mean, because like I said, this episode's going to be a little shorter. I mean, the best takeaway you take out of this is that without music, without distraction in your life, and you know what? Before I even say this, I want, moving forward with the rest of this episode, however long it may be, I want you to take whatever music, quote unquote, stands for in your life, whatever it is, whether it may be, like I said, for a lot of people, I know it's nicotine, they're heavily reliant upon that, or the drinking, or weed, whatever it may be, or social media. I'll have to go on. I don't know why I didn't say that before. Just think about it. Removing that from your life and thinking about what kind of changes you may want to instill or what may be necessary. Okay? So now think about that for the duration of this episode. Whatever the music, symbolizes in your life. I should have said that first. So the key takeaways is in giving up something, whether it's good or bad music. In this case, I wouldn't consider music bad in and of itself, but when you give up something, like the music in this analogy, whatever that stands for you, you are forced to be in a sort of tunnel vision-like state. And it has to be something important to you. It's not something you do once a day or something that's, that you barely even pay mind to, but something that you really, really impacts your day. And sometimes you got to really think about it, because you may just view social media, but when you think about how much time you spend scrolling on that crap, that garbage every day, you'll realize, wow, maybe I rely upon that too much. Like when I don't feel like doing something, I'll just whip out my phone really quick and start scrolling for a couple minutes, turns into 10, 15 minutes. Next thing you know, it's, you're not as productive. It's 20, 30 minutes later, whatever. Think about it. Really, really think about it and how you're going to substitute that with something else. Because this is something I should have touched on earlier as well. At first, I was replacing the music with podcasts, educational things. So not things that were stupid, not things that were just like, okay, just keep me entertained, make me laugh. No, I was forcing myself to listen to things that genuinely made me smarter in some way. So as you can imagine, it came a lot of Jordan Peterson, a lot of Hormozy. Trying to think of who else I was listening to at first, but a lot of Paul Washer. That guy's great. But yeah, and you force yourself to substitute these things with things of value, things that matter. I mean, it's like think about it. Every time you wanted to pull out your phone, this is not some crazy substantial impact that'll happen, but every time you wanted to pull out your phone, if you're working from home or wherever you're at, you start like doing something silly, like busting out push-ups or something. Or if every time you work from home or in a quiet place and you were really tempted to do something that is really kind of like your scapegoat from being productive, maybe you, like myself, have an interest in learning the guitar. You pick up a guitar and start playing for, just 10 minutes. You do that 3 times throughout the day, 30 minutes a day, compounds, and, you're doing, what is that, 30 minutes a day, 150 hours, or 150 minutes a week, which is just over, that's 2.5 hours, and then, and it kind of compounds and so on and so forth. And, it's little things, I've learned a lot of little things from this Lenten season. And I pay it to. I'll put it like this. I owe what I've learned simply to giving up something that I wouldn't consider bad, but definitely helped me get through my day, and without it, it forced me to kind of have that tunnel vision on the things that needed change and helped me be more productive in a weird way. And I'm not gonna say that's what Lent's all about. Lent's about offering up something that of value to you, to the Lord, as a sacrifice. But no one who's to say it can't also just benefit you as well, and whatever, it can't just benefit you as well. And that's just what I've learned, and to sum things up. I know it sounds super redundant at this point, but I want to just have one sort of conclusion here: is that giving up the thing, I guess. If I were to wrap this up, I apologize. This was kind of last minute. I didn't have much time for this weekend, unfortunately. But just picking something, I guess, to really narrow this down that kills your productivity, something that forces you to be pulled out of reality and drift into another state of mind, whatever that is in your life, consider giving that up. It doesn't have to be, a lengthy period of time. It could simply be, one day on, one day off, a week at a time, a month at a time, whatever. Just consider that, and you'll see, like, you make little changes, and it's pretty impressive how it compounds. You make little changes, little progress, and things you wouldn't consider doing prior to that, because it's so much easier to pull out your phone, or so much easier to pull whatever nicotine out of your pocket, um, and you'll see substantial growth. I'll be the first to say, calluses your mind a bit. So definitely consider it. Again, I apologize. This episode was kind of a little rushed. Not too much preparation went into this. I don't know why I didn't think I was gonna have less time. I genuinely had no time for this today, so I'd squeeze this in really quickly. But with that being said, I still hope at the end of the day you guys take just a little something from this, because there's something I did want to touch on at some point, one point or another. I figured obviously this would be the best time to do so at the conclusion of Lent. With that, I appreciate the feedback. With time, I'm actually getting more and more people kind of, giving me their 2 cents, and I love that. Absolutely. It's only going to help me get better at this, and there's also positive feedback as well, so I appreciate you guys too. And let me know what you guys do. If you decide to move forward and give something up, reach out to me on any socials, all the same thing at TubPod Official. And, I really look forward to seeing, this is the one thing I look forward to from the start, is actually seeing your guys, like, kind of, I don't want to say results, or just, you guys taking some of what you hear and applying it into your own life. That was one of the things I was most excited about. Not, again, because I'm not the all-knowing, same thing I say in every episode, but I feel like I could provide some sort of little bit of guidance here and there, as well as receive 100-fold of what I already know, because I consider myself still a newborn, an infant in the sense of knowledge. So, as always, thank you guys. You are the best. And until next time, God bless.